Hello, good afternoon, everybody. This is your host, Khadijah D, and this is Hear Our Voices, where we tell stories, give resources, and change the narrative of homelessness. Guys, thank you for making your following on YouTube go up. I really appreciate it. We have so much things to get into, but before I get into what we have going on today, I actually want to tell you that, guys, we are hiring. We need a person with lived experience, whether you were the child in the shelter or the parent in the shelter or guardian in the shelter with a child under 21. We go by path rules in New York City. We'd love to have you on our team. If you don't want to be on our team, because it can be kind of stressful sometimes, you can tell your story if you like, and you can give your name if you like, or if you don't like, it's fine. It's up to you, right? Also, please follow us on all our social media platforms. We have TikTok, we have Instagram, we have YouTube, and obviously the way you're listening right now on Spotify and Anchor. We would love to grow our community and to help with different policies and pushing it ahead. So having you follow us will definitely help help us get our word out there and to make sure it can reach the ears it needs to hear to make the changes it needs to make. So today, our guest that we have on today is Chris. Um, I'm gonna make Chris tell you a little bit about herself and we'll get into this. Chris, thank you for coming on the podcast and telling us what we need to know.
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Christine Quinn. I'm the CEO and president of Win Women in Need, and we are the largest providers of transitional housing, shelter, and supportive housing, which is, of course, permanent housing with services to homeless families with children in the five boroughs. And we house about 7,000 people a night, half of whom are children. And, we really believe at WIN that services need to be delivered in a trauma-informed way and that you need to have holistic wraparound services, which is what we provide at WIN. And our work is very much on point. A year, we do a survey every year. And if you look back at the people we placed in housing last year, 94% of them have not returned to shelter. If you look 2 years ago, 93% of them have not returned to shelter. And I think that speaks to the quality of work and also speaks to the fact that we prioritize when we're moving folks to permanent housing, having them move out with a housing voucher. And that's why we're continuing to push as hard as we can to get Mayor Mondami to honor the commitment he made when he was candidate Mondami and Mayor-elect Mondami to implement a package of laws that the city council had passed, which would make housing vouchers accessible to more people in shelter and to people in the community so they would get support before they end up in shelter.
Definitely right. Like you said before, Mondani promised the people something and he did not so far deliver. It could still happen in the future, but we want him to deliver on his promise to the people. Before we get into Mondani and the Cityfheps and things like that, can you please tell us who is Christine Quinn? Exactly. How did you get into this work and who are you and what makes you so knowledgeable about this particular subject?
Well, I'm knowledgeable because I'm old and I've been doing it 10 years and I've been working. I started out working at the end of the Koch administration as a housing and tenant activist, and then for 5 years was chief of staff to a city council member, and then I was a city council member myself for about 12 or so years, where I chaired the health committee and then was speaker for 8 years on the city council.
So this work is not something that's new to you that you just picked up yesterday and say, this seemed like a good idea to do. This is something you have been in for a while.
Yes, yes, for better or worse. I've been around for a while, and I may have said this already. I've been at Win for 10 years.
Yes. So you see how the climate over time has changed. You've seen how housing vouchers have changed. You said 10 years. My daughter is 10.
Uh,
Yes, and we came out of shelter ourselves in 2018. So you were there when they had the link one, link two, link 100 at this point. So you know how it has changed over time, the city fabs. And you know how important it actually is for families to have this to broaden it out to more people in the community, not just families, but also for youth. So tell us how it has changed people's lives and how it has been like a golden ticket for many families in New York City.
Well, look, the best way for people to move out of shelter is to have a voucher. It gives them the support that they need, and it also is economically better for New York taxpayers. It costs about $54 a night to house somebody in a permanent home with a voucher. If you stay at a wind shelter for a night, it costs taxpayers about $300. And if you stay in a welfare hotel where you're lucky if you have half a social worker, it costs close to $400 a night. So in the city of New York, there's a lawsuit that was settled where the homeless have to be housed, which is
Right.
a great thing. So why aren't we doing it in the way that's more humane and more less expensive and more economically responsible?
Yes. So if the leader of the biggest shelter units in New York City is telling you, yes, we need shelter, in my mind is like, yes, we need shelter because we always gonna need shelter no matter
Yes,
what.
no doubt, no
Yes,
doubt.
because it's DV, we have hurricanes, we have fires, accidents and things will always happen, right? But she's telling you that we don't want people to stay in shelter if they don't have to or longer than they need to stay in shelter, right? We need them to be with vouchers in hand.
Right. So the average length of stay in a shelter for families with children is 15 months. The average age of a child in shelter is 5 years old. We're
Correct.
talking about over a quarter of their life being
Hmm.
sheltered, being in shelter, and homelessness or being unhoused, regardless of the why, right? Regardless of why it happened, is a trauma.
Hmm.
And we know that children, when negative things happen in their home, whatever they may be, they blame themselves. We
Right.
want to get people in and out of shelter as quickly as is possible for them, obviously, but also helping them deal with the trauma when they're in shelter. But that's really what we want to do. And having a city that has these vouchers is going to help people get out of shelter more quickly. Now, look, does the voucher system need to be reformed to be even more effective? 100%. But it's the best thing we have, and we can make it better.
Definitely, that's true. The voucher system that we have, a lot of things in our system are broken. But right now, until we fix it to 100%, we have to use what we have until we get better. We can't say we're not going to give you nothing and have you in shelter all your life, but we can
Right.
give you something. And while you're in actually housed and stable, a part of the community, we know that you're safe. Like people, I don't think understand about the voucher. It's not just like, oh, we're giving you free money, we're giving you these things. The people on the voucher are working people. They have a requirement for the voucher. It's not like
Right.
free money.
There's a work requirement for the voucher, and you
Exactly.
pay, it's not free. You
It's
pay
not.
30% of your income into rent. And after
Yes.
5 years, there's a means testing. So if you're now in a financial situation where you don't need the voucher anymore, it will be canceled. It doesn't go on forever unless you financially are able to prove to the city, and they are strict about the prove that you actually still need it.
Yes, we know things with the city when you're trying to get anything, housing, path, anything. It takes a long time for the city to do their job. So they technically, I know for a fact, they are very a stickler on you
Yeah.
trying to get over this 5-year rule for sure.
Yes, very much so.
And I want to put out there another thing to add on to that, that a lot of people who are in the shelters are actually city workers. So
Oh,
it's,
absolutely.
yes,
So during COVID, when people who were quote unquote essential workers had to go to work, we had 250 families in our shelter where one or both of the adults were essential workers. So they were leaving shelter every day to go out and be an essential part of keeping this city running during a pandemic. I mean, that says a lot
right,
about where things are at in our city. And 52% of the moms at Win are working. And at Win, it's mostly paid for with private money. We have something called an income building program that helps moms get the skills they need to get jobs that are better paying than minimum wage, because earning minimum wage is not going to get you into permanent housing. It's going to keep you in a revolving door in and out of shelter.
it's true. If we really think about, like, I feel like New York City, I haven't looked it up in a while. So we have, I want to say it's $17, 16 or $17 for minimum wage in New York City right now. And I feel like we're the one of the highest states usually who pay minimum wage. If correct me in the comments if you want. I didn't look it up, so I didn't come here prepared for that particular part. I came here for Cityfheps, right? And if you add up that times 40 hours a week, and most people are not working 40 hours a week in a particular job. Most jobs trying to give you part-time, not full-time. They don't want to give you proper health care. So it's like all these things you have to toggle. If you times that by 20, 40 hours a week, mind you, they're taking out taxes on top of that. So you're really not getting the full amount of the minimum wage anyway. Think about all the things you have to pay for. You have to pay for rent. If you're a parent, you have to pay for daycare. If you have to pay for all these different deodorant, toothpaste, food, all these things will cost so much money, right? City Feps is just doing a part of that. It's still another, we still have a low wage problem. We still have other things going on.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you know, the prices are going up. Everything costs more. It's not like, in response to prices going up, the folks who are on vouchers or in shelter get more money. They don't. They're as
Mhm.
stretched as hard as anybody else.
Right. It's true. So I want anybody who's listening to this. We have a rally coming up on Wednesday at
There's
12:30. Thursday?
Yeah,
Thursday at 12:30 at City Hall, right?
it's actually 10:30.
10:30? Maybe it's more than one rally.
Maybe the one I'm going to for Cityfheps expansion is Thursday at April 30th at 10:30
Got it.
on the steps of City Hall.
We're fighting for a lot of things to fight for in New York City, guys. But definitely, I will give you this information down below so that you will have this information and that you will be able to get this out to your people as soon as possible. So it is. I did fact check it. Look at my text right now. It is Thursday at 10:30 at City Hall. I should know that because I'm one of the speakers. So that's shame on me for not having that correctly. But I think what it is, I do help out with a lot of actions. So I might have just mixed up that time and date, guys.
No,
So
of
thank
course.
you.
There's so
It is. So guys, if you want to come out and help and use your voice, a lot of times we do these rallies. I feel like we should have a bigger amount of like it should be more people there because the city febs actually affects a lot of people in New York City. It's not like a small population. It affects a lot of people in New York City who's our community members. You'd be surprised who in your workplace, who in your family is on a city febs voucher, on a voucher and a whole. Because most time people don't talk about it. People like me are brave enough and we're like, we don't care. We've been through the system. We want to help others. And people like me use our voice to make sure that people can understand how important these things are. Some people are, in a way, ashamed of where they came from. Some people they just don't want people in their business. They wanted people not to think about them in that way of being homeless when there's nothing wrong being homeless. It's not your whole life. It's only a part of your life that it happened. And that's okay. Not everybody has to use their voice. But the thing about we do need the faces, we do need the voices to be out there on the steps with us to make sure that people understand how important this is. It's affecting a lot of families, it's affecting a lot of youths. And if we always talking about the families, kids are our future. In the family, as we said earlier, in the shelter is the age, the population of it is 5 and below. That's a young child. That's not like a teenager who understands what's going on. 5 and below is a young child. Then we have the other population we're also looking at is the youth. The youth are our future. If we don't have people who are young people right now who are stable, who have it together, our country is going to not be in good standings in the next couple of years. They're the one going to be holding up everything what's happening in our government or in our communities and things like that. We have to make sure that that population of people are taken care of. And
right.
yes,
No, absolutely. You're totally right.
Mayor Mandani promised us something. And I don't like when people promise me something and don't deliver. And I understand it's not his fault because honestly, this was put into effect, should have been put in effect properly when Adams was mayor, and that wasn't done. So now, when he ran that last year and promised all these people, people voted for him based on these things, saying that you're the man for the job. You essentially told us you are this person, and I'm gonna do this for you. And and now when he saw the budget, he's like, oh, sorry, that can't happen right now. And that's a problem though, because people were waiting on this. Families are waiting on this. Children who want to have their own room and have their own safe space in their own place is waiting on this. And you're failing our children in a way. And I know you're doing other things for children as having 2K for schools and all these things. And that's important too, because all the things you're doing, I see in positive ways, making a supermarket and deed theft and these things that I'm watching that you do is amazing work. I'm not gonna say that you're doing a bad job in that in those areas. But in homelessness right now, we need your help. The children needs your help. The youth needs your help. And I want you to stand on your word. And again, I know it's not your fault, but people are counting on you. And without this, trauma is going to be more on families more than ever. There's a lot of things going on. The nicer things going on with the EHV voucher. We have a lot of other things trying to not get people into homelessness as it is. And if this part doesn't get done, it's going to be another pile of people going to the shelters and staying there longer than they have to stay. It's
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this is a time, with the federal vouchers being eliminated, some of the federal vouchers being eliminated, we even more need an expansion of the city vouchers because there's a significant number of people who are going to really have the rug pulled out from under them.
yes. It's a lot of stuff going on. And I know this New York City is a big beast to take care of. I'm not sure if he realized how much work it really was being a mayor. But we are here to help you and remind you that we're not going to be quiet until this is done. I know you're in no negotiations and these things. Negotiating time is over. You promised this was going to happen. You told people this was going to happen, and we are counting on you to do your part, to change, to change things around and making sure that a difference can be made. If you go back on your word, how can we trust you again? How can we trust you to again to elect you again if we can't trust you on the word that you stand the first time you came out? This is a
Absolutely. Look, I mean, he didn't just say it as a candidate because sometimes
right,
people are like, oh, they were just running. They said whatever. He restated it when he was mayor elect.
right.
So, he's certainly made a commitment that's irrefutable.
Yes. And that's a problem for me when candidates say things and they don't stand on their word. And
Yeah,
things happens. People make mistakes and that's okay, but we need this to happen.
absolutely. No, no question about that. No question about that.
Cityfeps can change many lives and it does many things.
Absolutely. I mean, look, it's the difference between living in a home with your child, having them, not get moved around school to school. On average, homeless kids go to 2 to 3 schools a year. This, really having a permanent home can mean educational stability, and that's really priceless.
That's true. And you'd be surprised what trauma children think about. I think
But
about
look, when something goes wrong in a home,
yes,
whatever it is,
right.
illness, a job loss, divorce, homelessness, whatever, we know children blame themselves
It's
wrongly, but they blame themselves.
it's
And
true.
that's going to happen too. If I was better, we wouldn't have gotten evicted. If I was better, there wouldn't have been, battering in my home, whatever the issues are. So we also need to be addressing that by A, reducing the time in shelter, and B, providing more holistic wraparound services in shelter.
It's definitely true. Children do blame themselves. Children also remember things very well.
Without a doubt.
I can remember some trauma from when I was a kid. I think the earliest memories I have is probably like 3 to 4 years old. And as you can see from the age group from five and down, that's 3 to 4 years old. And to know that example, a holiday, Christmas time, that's a very big holiday
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
shelter.
Absolutely.
Thanksgiving in shelter. These
Absolutely.
are times that children are going to remember. Gifts being open, they can't have a proper Christmas tree. They might not be around all their family because they can't travel as much. They do have certain shelters have like they give them time they can go out, but you have to be mindful of the time, how long you're out, and how many days you're out of a shelter because they can kick you out. And it's not their fault, it's just the rules of the system.
Right. Now, the city places a lot of rules on shelter providers.
They
And
do.
that means there's a lot of rules for people in shelter to follow. Right.
Right.
So you go away for more than 2 days, you'll lose your place in shelter. You can get a pass to go if you have like a funeral or something, but you have to have a reason. There's curfews. It's not in any way, shape, or form like living in your own place.
Right. If honestly it feels bad for the children, it feels bad for the adult. I know when I was in shelter myself, it didn't feel great. I feel like I was a failure of a parent. I knew that even, mind you, if you listen to this podcast for a while, you know I went to college. I'm still in debt for it. I have a bachelor's degree. I was married. I had all the things America tell you. They sell you this dream. My family's from the Caribbean, so they sell you this dream, especially from the Caribbean. You go to America, you do what you gotta do. You go to school, you get married, you have a kid, and still after all that, I was still homeless. So it's not like the most times it's not the fault of the person. Things just happen. You know what I'm saying? Things just happen. This is a thing what helps people come out of that situation. Not having a child have Thanksgiving at home, not at a shelter, not having a child have Christmas at a shelter. It's just not the same as being home.
Right, right. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing that can replace the security and safety that people feel in permanent housing. Nothing can replace that.
It's true. So what do you think we to tell people to do other
I mean,
than coming to the
people
rally?
who can should come to City Hall on Thursday at 10:30 and support this rally to urge the mayor to uh, implement the expansion of Cityfheps. You don't have to speak, but come, hold a sign, be part of the crowd, fill up the steps. That sends a message. You physically being there sends a message. The other thing you could do is obviously call the mayor's office or email the mayor's office and demand that he implement the legislation. You could call the governor, where the mayor's trying to get more money from the state to help with funding for HEPS. You could call the governor and ask her to do that. You could call your city council member, your state assembly member, your state senator, call, email, tell them you want money, more money for HEPS.
Yes. I want to plug another resource that you might need, guys. If you're a person, and again, I'm gonna say this, 'cause I say it a couple of times, if you're a DV survivor, this program is not for you. God don't want you to go back to your abuser at all. But Pathway Homes is a program that they have when you go to Path, and they will give you CFEPs without going to shelter itself, and you can have your family or friend house you, because at times it could be uncomfortable to be in somebody's place and not give them money. And this part of it helps you help them get paid, but also you can be at somebody's home that you feel more comfortable with, and you have less anxiety and things like that. And shelter, honestly, if you can avoid it, I tell you to avoid it. It's not the best place to be. Your mental stability is, if you have anxiety before, you might have worse anxiety after. Depression will go up the roof. I'm telling you this from experience, not because I heard it or read in a book. I lived this life. I went to 4 different shelters in New York City. It's not the best. And some shelters are better than others. That's just a fact of life. If you can avoid going to shelter, please take that program. If you have a friend or family, again, I'm going to say this. If you're a DV survivor, please do not take this. Go to a FJC. They have in all the boroughs. Email me, DM me. I can help you get services if you need it, because it's very important that you get away from your abuser. And it's not only beating, it's financial abuse. It's different ways of abusing somebody without actually touching them. Most times, mental abuse seems more hurtful than physical abuse at times. I don't lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. Physical abuse does hurt. Let's put that out there. But I want to make sure that anyone who's listening to this and they want to help, you can help in many different ways. Like Chris said earlier, calling, everybody can call, even if you can't show up because you have work. Maybe you can do a quick phone call to these people and that person. But use your voice in any way. You never know who around you is in shelter, because a lot of times people in family shelters are the invisible homeless people. People only think about people on the street, they're on drugs and have mental health problems. No, a lot of times a person in a shelter is looking like a regular person next to you on a train, at your job, on the bus, at your child's school. We don't sometimes look like what you think homelessness should be looking like, because we look normal, because we're housed, quote unquote, but we're not housed in our own home. If that makes any sense. We have a shelter over our head, but it's not our home in general. So yes. Do you have any last words for us?
I mean, I think, this is a really critical time. We have the ability to make the voucher program better and stronger and help more people. So I think we really have to, grab this opportunity, call your electeds, call the mayor, come out on Thursday.
Yes, I would love to see you guys there. I'll be there now. I'm putting my calendar on the right day and the right time, and I cannot wait to make a difference. Every voice counts, every story counts. And even if you think your story doesn't count, I promise you it does count. Your voice does matter. Your story does matter. And you are somebody. And I hope that this can get passed and we can go to something else. Because we have so much other problems in New York City to fight for. And we're never going to stop fighting no matter what. So talk to you guys next time. Thank you for following. Bye.
Bye bye.